Good evening. On behalf of the commissioners and staff, I would like to welcome you to the January 12th, 2023 City of Roseville Planning Commission meeting. Please put all electronic devices on silent at this time. Agendas are available at the end of the staff table. If you plan to speak at tonight's meeting, please complete a blue speaker card and return it to the staff table. As a reminder, Planning Commission meetings are broadcast live and replayed throughout the week on Consolidated Communications and Comcast. So I'll now call the meeting to order. Lupe, may I please have a roll call?
Yes, Commissioner Brashears.
Here.
Commissioner Jensen.
Here.
Commissioner Hagen-Jost.
Here.
Commissioner Pryor.
Here.
Commissioner Randolph.
Here.
Vice Chair Covington. Here. And Chair Martin.
Here. All right, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lupe, can we please have staff introductions?
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Lupe Nelson, Recording Secretary.
Good evening, Commissioners. Joe Speaker, Assistant City Attorney. Good evening, Chair Martin and Commissioners. Greg Bitter, Planning Manager.
Good evening, Chair Martin and Commissioners. Derek Ogden, Senior Planner.
Good evening, Commissioners. Sean Morales, Associate Planner.
And good evening, Commissioners. Matt Todd, Principal Engineer.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the new year, everybody. Next on the agenda is public comments. The public comment period is a time for anyone who would like to address the Commission on any item not on tonight's agenda. When addressing the Commission, please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And it looks like we have one person that has a comment. Is it Chris Martinez? All right. And it's a comment that's not on the agenda? Yes. Okay, come on up. Yeah, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Chris Martinez. I am a field representative for the NorCal Carpenters Union, Local 46. I'm here to talk just about, providing area standards of wages and benefits for all our construction workers. Area standard labor language needs to be like a template that developers use. I would like to express that without these standards, the construction force is abused through wage theft, 1099, where workers don't have work comp when injured on the job, and a plethora of safety violations. Healthcare and prevailing wage are vital necessity to these workers building these projects. Apprenticeship programs ensure that the job is built to the highest degree, and local hire ensures that the tax revenue from money spent by the workers, but ensures those workers can enjoy the basic things in life like spending evenings with their families. The language that should become policy here would support responsible contractors that are already doing the right thing by their clients, employees, and the city itself. These responsible contractors have proven time after time that they can perform to the highest standards. These policies would bolster the working class and cultivate a responsible market for good contractors. This would create minimum standards for developers that are coming in the area and telling them that citizens that built our land come first. Adding area standard wages and benefits for labor to this projects and to the city's pre-qualification language will show you your constituents that you value not just the city, but also the men and women building this city. I would also like to add that our men and women building these housing projects be able to make enough money to afford to live in the projects that they're building, not just build them and find housing somewhere else. And with that, I would just like you guys to all think about making sure that we're holding all these contractors up to these standards. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. Regarding the comments on this, assuming we could get this to maybe City Council, possibly, or?
Yeah, I think we can pass this along to the City Manager's office.
Okay, great.
Initially, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make any comments that are not part of the agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Next up is the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists of routine items that may be approved under one motion as recommended in the staff reports. However, each item may be considered separately and upon request by the audience, Planning Commission, or staff. Tonight's consent calendar consists of one item. It's item 5.1, the minutes from the December 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting. Is there anyone on the commission or in the audience who would like to pull this item off the consent calendar for separate discussion? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as listed?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Pryor has made the motion, and Commissioner Randolph has seconded. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Hagen-Jost?
Yes.
Commissioner Randolph?
Yes.
Commissioner Brashears? Vice Chair Covington?
Yes.
Commissioner Pryor?
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen?
Yes.
And Chair Martin.
Yes. The motion is approved. Next on the agenda is the request presentations. So before we begin, I will review the meeting procedures. We will hear the staff presentations, then I will take questions from the commission of the staff, then I will open up the public hearing, and the applicant will be able to make a presentation. Then I will open up the public comment, and the public will have the opportunity to speak. Then I will close public comment, and if needed, the applicant will be given an opportunity to provide a rebuttal. Then I will close the public hearing, and the commission may ask questions of staff. And finally, the commission will consider the item and make a decision based on the information provided in the report from staff and the testimony presented during tonight's hearings. First up is item 6.1. It's a request for a major project permit stage 2 for 250 Gibson Drive. For the record, file number is PL22-0331. Sean, can we have your presentation, please?
Yes, you may. Good evening again, Chair Martin and Commissioners. My name is Sean Morales. I'm an associate planner, and I'm here tonight to present to you the Highland Village Pad 3 project. The project site is located at 250 Gibson Drive within the Highland Village commercial development at the northeast corner of Roseville Parkway and Gibson Drive. Highland Village was approved through the Major Project Permit, or MPP, process in 2008, and an MPP Stage 1 was approved for the building footprints and design guidelines at that time. As you can see in the image, most of the buildings and parking areas have been developed within the center. The current request is for an MPP Stage 2 to review the elevations for one new building on Pad 3 within the development. The last modification to the Highland Village site plan was approved in 2019 and included removing Building 5 from the project and increasing the size of Buildings 3 and 4. The applicant proposes to maintain the approved footprint for Building 3, so no modification to the Stage 1 site plan is required. The building will have 3 tenants. One is planned for a restaurant, Kurasushi, and right now the other 2 are planned for retail tenants, though there is surplus parking in the center that will allow flexibility for restaurant or office in the future. The building will use colors and materials approved in the Highland Village design guidelines, such as gray, thin brick veneer, and stucco siding in neutral colors for the body of the building, as well as accent materials such as perforated metal panels and faux wood panels. Although the colors and materials are consistent with the design guidelines, the building will differentiate itself from other buildings within the center through its unique architectural features, such as large glass storefront windows that are located beneath angular pop-outs on the front elevation, as you can see in the image. Early notification of the project was posted on the Arcona website, and the public hearing notice was mailed to property owners within 300 feet, published in the Press Tribune and on the Arcona website as well. An initial study and negative declaration were prepared for the Highland Village and adopted by the Planning Commission in 2008, and this project was found to be consistent with that prior evaluation, so no further environmental review was required. So in conclusion, staff finds the proposed elevations are substantially consistent with the intent of the original approval, and the project complies with the zoning ordinance, general plan, specific plan, and the community design guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends the commission adopt the required findings of fact and approve the entitlement as listed on the slide, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Sean. Commissioners, are there any questions for staff at this time? Nope, okay. So I will now open up the public hearing. I'd like to invite the project representative for this item to come and address the commission.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for your service. My name is Vic Tannen. I'm the investor on the property and the owner of the property. And I have my architects, who are the smart guys. And, we're really excited to be a part of Roseville. Appreciate your help. Sean and his teams have been great to work with, and we intend to give McCooney a run for their money. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Are there any questions for the applicant? No? Thanks, you may be
Thanks
seated.
again.
Thank you. I'll now open up the public comment period. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll now close the public comment period. And then if there's any additional comments or questions that might have popped in the commissioner's head for staff or applicant?
I would just like to make a comment.
Sure.
That I want to thank the applicants for bringing forward some unique architecture. It's good to see something different in Roseville that isn't just a square box. So well done to you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I think all of us up here appreciate the unique style and looking forward to some competition from McCooney's, like you said. So, anyway, I will now close the public hearing. And would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the two findings of fact and approve the MPP Stage 2 subject to 74 conditions of approval. That's for 250 Gibson Drive. For the record, file number PL 220331.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Pryor has made the motion, and Commissioner Covington has seconded the motion. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Pryor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Covington,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan-Joes,
Yes.
Commissioner Brashears,
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Randolph, and Chair Martin.
Yes. Okay, the motion is approved. There's a 10-day appeal period for this item. Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 6.2. It's a request for a major project permit Stage 1 modification and major project permit Stage 2 for 11751 Gopher Brook Road. For the record, file numbers PL 22-0243.
Out of an abundance of caution, I am recusing myself from this item due to a potential financial conflict of interest related to my employment.
All right, thank you. Just for the record, Commissioner Covington has removed herself. We'll pause.
Let me make sure something lost.
All right, Shelby, can we have your presentation, please?
Yes, you may. Good evening, Chair Martin and Commissioners. My name is Shelby Maples, Associate Planner, and I have a presentation for you on the Major Project Permit Stage 1 mod and Major Project Permit Stage 2 evaluation for the South Placer Justice Center. The project is located on Gopher Brook Road within the South Placer Justice Center site. This is a Placer County facility, and it's located to the north of Blue Oaks Boulevard and south of Sunset in the North Industrial Plan area of the city of Roseville. The original project allowed the phased construction of a 676,149 square foot justice facility, including a courthouse, office buildings, archive and storage, and detention facilities with a capacity of up to 980 inmates. The project has been modified through the major project permit process to allow the use allocations and allow new buildings such as the coroner's facility, which was approved by the Planning Commission in 2019. The project includes that major project permit Stage 1 modification to accommodate the proposed buildings on the site plan, as well as modify the overall square footage allocation for the various use types within the center. That table is included in your staff report, which delineates new buildings as separate from the detention. The project also includes a major project permit Stage 2 for approximately 33,000 square foot medium security facility with a vocational training element, as well as an approximately 12,000 square foot mental health facility that's subordinate to the main detention. This is the site plan for the proposed project. The proposed medium security building and mental health building are located along the eastern boundary of the overall site. That's along Highway 65. So there's a 12-foot high wall that shields the overall site from 65 with landscaping along the highway. The medium security building is set back approximately 60 feet, and the mental health facility is set back approximately 35 feet. The project also includes the reconfiguration of existing parking areas as well as the addition of 18 new spaces. The new medium security facility includes 120 new beds, as well as the area dedicated to vocational training, and the new mental health facility has 45 beds. This is a rendering of the architecture for the mental health facility. The medium security building is very similar. As you can see, these buildings are concrete with a muted color palette, with limited windows and other entry points for security purposes. There are metal awnings that cover some of the entries. However, overall, it is an institutional building. Early notification of the project and the public hearing notice were posted to the Arcona website. The project notice was also published in the Press Tribune and mailed out to neighbors within 300 feet of the project site. No comments were received. To comply with the California Environmental Quality Act, an addendum to the South Placer Justice Center mitigated negative declaration was prepared, and no new or substantially more severe impacts were identified. In conclusion, the site plan, architecture, and landscaping are consistent with the general plan and adopted design guidelines, as well as the original intent of the major project permit approval, and the design is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission consider the addendum to the South Placer Justice Center mitigated negative declaration and adopt the findings of fact and approve the entitlements subject to the recommended conditions of approval. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Shelby. Commissioners, are there any questions for staff at this time? Question. There you go.
I have a question. Thank you, first of all, Shelby, for your presentation. I have a question on the renderings of the buildings. They look very monotone and very block-like. Will they be visible from any other public areas? Like you said, they were not visible from 65 through landscaping. Are there any other areas? Or could these buildings be broken up with different painting schemes that would make them a bit more less monotone and less block-like?
Would we be able to go back to slide number 2, please? So as you can see, kind of they're tucked back into the site, so they're kind of behind the existing minimum security housing for the medium security, and then the mental health facility is behind the main jail. So in my opinion, I don't think they're visible.
And I would just add, I think the main views, like you said, are going to be from Highway 65, and people are driving, obviously, 65, 70 miles an hour down that road. And really all you're going to see is probably the top with a 12-foot wall and an overall building height of about 24 feet. You're really only going to see the top 10 to 12 feet of those buildings. I think what they're also really trying to do is kind of mimic these buildings to the rest of the site, and so I think they're folding these buildings into the existing color scheme. So I think if we try to do more with the color, it might actually stick out a little bit more than this just kind of blending in with the existing site. Also, you're going to have landscaping that's probably 10 to 15 years old now at this point, and so that's maturing as well, and will further kind of screen views of the building itself.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pryor. Any other questions or comments for staff? No? Okay, now I will now open the public hearing. So I'd like to invite the project representative for this project to come and address the commission.
Hi, Lisa James with Placer County, Senior Project Manager. We appreciate your comment on the color scheme. We are definitely trying to minimize the changes in the colors that we have currently and just try to blend it into the existing facility. The mental health facility is going to be attached to the existing facility. The vocational training facility will be connected via a sidewalks. So it's, these two projects are definitely going to be similar to what we have on the site there. So I don't know if there's any other questions.
Commissioners, any questions? No? So basically, the existing jail that's there adjacent to it's a color scheme, as well as the building adjacent to the medium security is what you're saying. So everything's going to kind of blend in with this more muted palette.
Correct. Yeah. The similar colors out there currently.
Yeah. Okay. Commissioners, any questions for applicant? No? All right.
And I might just add that the other building, the courthouse building and the coroner's facility, they're all kind of under that same color scheme for the whole Justice Center facility out there.
And the courthouse is your showpiece. That's where people actually do
Right.
come in and see. So,
Yeah.
has a lot more detail.
Yeah, so the medium security, I mean, to go back to the wall along 65, you really, when you're driving by there, you really only see the rooftop, and we've done a really good job with the design and the construction of the existing facility to even, you don't even see the HVAC units, they're blocked as well.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner? All right, thanks. You can have a seat. Thank you. I will now open the public comment period. Is there anyone from the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Seeing none, I will now close the public comment period. And with that short period of time, are there any commissioners who have any additional questions for staff or applicant? No? Okay. So then I will now close the public hearing. Well, before I close the public hearing, I just want to make sure there's no other questions from commissioners or anything. We're good to go? Okay. I'll now close the public hearing. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move that that we take the following actions, that we consider the addendum to the South Placer Justice Center mitigated negative declaration, and recommend the adoption of the 2 findings of fact and approve the major project permit stage 1 modification subject to 6 conditions of approval, and adopt the 2 findings of fact and approve the major project permit stage subject to 59 conditions of approval. And for the record, this is file number PL 220243.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Hagen-Jost has made the motion and Commissioner Jensen has seconded the motion. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Brashears?
Yes.
Commissioner Pryor?
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Randolph?
Yes.
Commissioner Hagen-Jost?
Yes.
And Chair Martin.
Yes. The motion's approved. There's a 10-day appeal period for this item. And before we start on the next item, let's bring Commissioner Covington back in, please. Back.
Thank you.
Next item up on the list is item 6.3. It's a request for the Planning Commission to recommend that the City Council consider the addendum to the 2035 General Plan Environmental Impact Report, item SCH number 2019-080418, certified on August 5th, 2020, and housing element addendum, and recommend that City Council approve a general plan amendment, specific plan amendment, rezone, and development agreement for 572 Gibson Drive. For the record, file number PL 21-0307. Can we have your presentation, please?
Yes. Good evening, Chair Martin and Commissioners. I'm here this evening to present to you the Shea Properties Apartment Rezone Project. The project site is located within the North Central Roseville specific plan area. The site is bordered by Highway 65 on the north, Gibson Drive on the south, an existing apartment complex to the west, and an existing office complex to the east. The site has a general plan land use designation of business professional and a zoning designation of business professional with an overlay. At this time, the applicant is only requesting legislative entitlements to facilitate the eventual construction of a 360 affordable multifamily apartment complex. The project entitlements include a general plan amendment, a specific plan amendment, a rezone, and a development agreement. As proposed, the general plan land use map will be amended to change the land use designation from business professional to high-density residential. And consistent with the general plan amendment, the project site will be rezoned from business professional with special area overlay to multifamily housing with an overlay. The specific plan amendments include the division of parcel 42A into parcels 42A and 42C, the proposed land use change, the addition of 360 units to the plan area, and the inclusion of project-specific conditions. While not directly associated with this application, staff is recommending that 2 additional changes to the specific plan be made. This is in response to future development proposed within the plan area. Staff has recommended the inclusion of the community care facility and the long-term care facility uses be permitted within the community, commercial, and business professional land use designations. This would be consistent with the city's current zoning ordinance. As part of the review process for the project was reviewed against all city policies associated with land use changes from non-residential to residential uses. For example, the 2021 housing element update found the city to have a deficit of affordable housing units to comply with RHNA. As a result of this, the City Council approved several implementation measures and programs to address the housing deficit. One of the strategies approved by the council was the identification of opportunity sites that would be good candidates for conversion of land from non-residential to residential use. The subject parcel was identified as one of 4 candidates in the city to apply for the rezone program. In addition to the housing element rezone program, the city reviewed the project against the city-adopted guidelines for conversion of non-residential land uses. As I will describe in the next slides, there are 2 potential development scenarios associated with the proposed project. In both cases, affordable housing and public benefits will be provided. In addition, all typical development impact fees associated with the multifamily project will be continued to apply. Staff believes that the proposed change in land use complies with the guidelines for the conversion of non-residential land uses, as well as the housing element rezone program. So lastly, the applicant does propose to enter into a development agreement by and between the City of Roseville and Roseville Land Holdings, LLC. A draft copy of the development agreement is attached as Exhibit E in the staff report, but a list of the most pertinent items of the DA are listed on the screen before you. As I previously mentioned, there are 2 development scenarios that can occur on the site: an affordable project or a self-finance project. As part of the affordable project, the developer has committed to apply to at least 3 affordable housing financing programs by the end of 2024. In the event the applicant isn't successful in acquiring funding for the project, the self-finance project would require the developer to build a multifamily project with a minimum of 20% of the units as affordable and pay all typical development impact fees associated with the project. So lastly, consistent with this specific plan, the developer will be required to dedicate and construct an easement along the northern property line for pedestrian and bicycle connection to the existing trail. As part of the California Environmental Quality Act, an addendum to the 2035 General Plan Environmental Impact Report and the 2021 Housing Element Addendum were prepared for the project, which analyzed any potential impacts associated with this project. Early notification of the project was posted on the Roseville Coalition of Neighborhood Associations website, and notice of tonight's public hearing was published in the Roseville Press Tribune, as well as distributed to properties within 300 feet of the project site, and was again posted on the Ocorna website. To date, no comments have been received. So in conclusion, staff finds the project is consistent with the general plan, including the housing element implementation measures, the zoning ordinance, the specific plan, and the city's adopted guidelines for conversion of non-residential land uses policy. And the required findings of fact can be made for the rezone and development agreement. Based on this information presented to you this evening and the evaluation in the staff report, staff recommends the Planning Commission take the following actions as listed on the slide. This concludes my presentation, but I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Escalante. Commissioners, are there any questions for staff at this time? No? Just one comment, I guess, maybe you guys could add. So in regards to the open comment we had at the beginning, there's triggers in these types of projects that are requiring low not low rent, but just affordable housing. So this is kind of ties in with some of the comments that were made about, having labor laws so that people can live here as well as work here. So there are items that both state and city triggers that kind of would help out the comment that the person made in the beginning. I think it was Chris, right? Yeah. Is that?
Are you referring to the fact that there will be housing that's affordable to certain income levels?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So,
I mean, as a Scarlett mentioned, the 2, and we didn't get into detail in the presentation. Your staff report has more details, but with the 2 projects, the 2 scenarios in the development agreement, the 100% affordable project would provide housing anywhere between 30 and 80% of area median income for Placer County, with an overall average for all of the affordable units at 60% of area median income. if through the different application period through the next couple of years, if the developer is not successful in obtaining the right affordable housing financing programs, and they decide to do the self-financing program, 20% of those units would be affordable, and that would be, half of them would be at least at the 50% level, and half would be at least at the 80% level.
Okay.
So you are talking about a fairly significant number of affordable units, regardless of which development scenario.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and so that would obviously help families who work in Roseville, live in Roseville.
Correct, yeah. Thanks for saying that more eloquently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have another question or a follow-up on that, which is, as I read the draft of the development agreement, there are some obligations that are placed upon the city to cooperate with the developer in terms of assisting them in trying to find the financing for the 100% affordable. Is that correct?
Really, it's more, yes, but it's the same, it's not really an obligation. It's the same assistance the city would provide any affordable housing developer when they're trying to go through the process of applying for tax credits or state bond affordable housing bond allocations. We are always willing to help developers do that. We recently had a project in the Finment Ranch portion of the West Roseville specific plan, where one of the ways we helped the developer was economic development took forward a fee deferral program that helped defer a fairly significant chunk of impact fees until occupancy. So they get to float those fees between building permit issuance and having the units occupied. So it's that type of assistance, and then any forms that any other assistance that we can provide, and then obviously housing, the housing division, if they have any programs, housing vouchers, or any other type of assistance that could help out. It's basically we're agreeing to do what we would normally do for any affordable housing developer.
Chair Martin, could I ask a quick question too? And it has to do with fees. I just want to make sure I understood what was said. The project will pay all applicable fees except for the public benefit fee would be waived if it was an affordable project?
Yeah, so if it's a 100% affordable project, and then again, that's the caveat that obviously there might be a manager's unit or two in there that they won't be affordable. But if it's a 100% affordable project, then then the development agreement does not require a public benefit fee. If it is the self-finance project, all of the market rate units would pay $1,010 per unit as a public benefit fee.
Okay. And then the other question is, so I'm assuming when it was office space, there wasn't a park fee component per se when they pulled their building permits, or?
Well,
if it would have been
right, there wouldn't be the same. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same park impact fees.
So there'll be some additional park fees. There's not going to be any additional parks built, neighborhood parks?
No, yeah, with the number of units, there wouldn't the in lieu land dedication amount, the acreage wouldn't really be enough to make it worthwhile. So it'll just be fees to help the Parks Department improve and construct existing park sites.
Correct, and that's what I wanted to make sure clear. So there's not going to be a new park that comes along with this, but there's going to be funding that can be invested in some of the existing parks for some other amenities in those locations. Okay, that was my question.
All right, great. Any other comments from commissioners? No? Okay, so then I will now open the public hearing, and I'd like to invite the project representative for this item to address the commission.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Melrose. I'm a development manager for Shea Properties. I've been working with staff on this site as an office project since we bought it back in 2002. I think that was the last time I was here in this room, was in '04 when we processed the master project permit for all the site plan and the architecture. I remember Mr. Jensen was a key member of the engineering staff back in the days when we did that and made that acquisition. Things have changed a little bit since 2002 and 2004. The office environment for that particular genre of real estate. The market's a little different these days. We've been, I think 2008 is the last time we put a building up on that site. It was entitled for, I think 10 office buildings, about, call it 500,000 square feet total of office space. And we got about halfway through, and 08 put the last building up, the fifth one, and struggled to lease it. Took a couple of years to get it leased up, and haven't really had a compelling reason economically to build another office building there since. We've been discreetly and gently knocking on the door of the city, asking if, hey, there are any other ideas what we might do with this property since probably the 2010 timeframe. And, we're politely told, no, we really don't have any other good ideas. We'd like to see jobs in office. And that was, the original intent, the original deal. But today, the environment's much different. And, the city and the public's need for affordable housing and housing in general of lower entry level and lower rent, is a substantial challenge. And we have folks at the state of California with their RENA allocations being sort of mandated these days. I think there's just over 6,100 units of affordable housing in this RENA cycle that the city has to figure out a way to provide. And, we thought, well, let's collaborate on an opportunity here to rezone this and change the land use to see if we can accommodate some of that need. If it moved forward and if we were successful in garnering some of the competitive funding that's required through the CIDLAC and California tax credit process, it is very competitive. There's never a guarantee that you'll be successful. It does take a united effort between the community and the staff and the landowner to put it together. So that's our ambition. That's where we're at. And I just wanted to thank the staff for their efforts. We do a lot of work in a lot of communities in California, and I don't think there's one that I could name that has their act together any better than the city of Roseville. So you're very fortunate to have the folks here working for you that you have, and the way your processes are organized, it's second to no other community I can think of in California. With that, I hope that you'll find a way to support staff's recommendations tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant? Nope, no questions. Okay, then what we'll do is we'll now open up the public comment period. And is there anyone in the public who would like to come forward and address the commission on this item? Seeing none, I'll now close the public comment period and ask if there's any additional questions for the applicant or staff from commission. Again, no? Okay. I will now close the public hearing. So would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
Motion to recommend to City Council that they consider the addendum to the 2035 General Plan Environmental Impact Report and 2021 Housing Element Addendum, to recommend to City Council to adopt a resolution approving the General Plan Amendment Land Use Map and a resolution approving the specific plan amendment text and land use map, and to recommend that City Council adopt the 2 findings of fact and approve the rezone, and adopt the 5 findings of fact and approve the development agreement by and between the City of Roseville and Roseville Land Holdings LLC. This is for 572 Gibson Drive, Shea Properties Apartments rezone, file number PL21-0307.
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Covington has made a motion, and Commissioner Brashears has seconded the motions. Could we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Vice Chair Covington?
Yes.
Commissioner Higginjose?
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Randolph?
Yes.
Commissioner Brashears?
Yes.
Commissioner Pryor?
Yes.
And Chair Martin.
Yes, the motion's approved. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a commissioner staff report. So are there any reports from staff at this time for tonight?
Yeah, I just have a couple quick items. The first one is, I believe you received an email from me earlier this week. We will not be having a meeting in 2 weeks on the 26th, but we will be having a meeting. We do have several items, or at least a few items, on the February 9th meeting. Also, just to report out on some city council activity, the city council on December 21st did approve the commercial corridor project. We finally got that to the city council after a few, we didn't have a quorum on one meeting and we had a few other agenda issues, but we finally got that to city council at the end of December. And so the commercial corridor specific plans have been approved and adopted. So the second reading of the rezone ordinances go next week. So that project is ready for hopefully the development community or the landowners to take advantage of some of those programs. One other item I'll just quickly mention, and again, I know I sent this to you last week, just an acknowledgement that the city received the pro-housing designation from the state of California, the Department of Community and Housing, Housing and Community Development Department, excuse me. And one thing that I want to point out, we talked about it a little earlier with the Shea project, but some incentives the city might have. One of the benefits of this pro-housing designation, one, it acknowledges and recognizes the city for having a very efficient processes and policies regarding construction of housing in the city of Roseville. But we're one of 7 jurisdictions that have this award in the state of California now. That's all the cities and counties. And almost immediately, within days after receiving this award, a program came out. It's called the Pro Housing Incentive Pilot Program. It is a funding program. It's a competitive grant application, although there's only 7 of us competing, and it's based on the number of points you received for your pro housing designation. So I think in the email I sent you, I was a little bit off, but according to the number of points we received, and this is an item that housing is taking to council next week, we're going to request the maximum award, which is about $1.6 million. So that money can also be used as local matching funds for the 2023 Local Housing Trust Fund. The state has a program for local a housing trust fund, and so if we use that for our local match, we can double that amount to a little over $3.2 million. So hopefully, because we received this pro housing designation, we have a very good opportunity to have about $3.2 million. And then we're able to help affordable builders, Shea, as an example, throughout the city with a city help with their financing. So I think I just want to point that out and make sure the commission knows that this was, the policies that the commissions heard and made recommendations on, that the city councils ultimately approved. There is at the end of the day, there's going to be a real dollar amount that is going to be able to be leveraged to provide housing for families so they can afford to work and live in Roseville. So I just think that's really, I'm very proud of all the efforts that that the planning commission's made, staff's made, the city council has implemented over the last few years regarding housing, and I'm anxious to see that actually result in people having safe, clean housing here. So that's the end of my report.
Great. That's good news. Awesome. Are there any questions from commission to staff based upon the reports? No? Okay. Next item is adjournment. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Commissioner Pryor's made the motion and Commissioner Brashears has seconded. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Good.